Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about sexual repression and how that affected me in life. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of my content is, you know, has more to do with like just living a life true to yourself, and I want to help encourage you guys to do that. And if you hear a little bell, that is my dog, Genevieve. She has no manners. She keeps trying to get my attention. Oh, you love your mama? You love your mama? That way you keep trying to get my attention, and that way you keep being a bad girl? Oh, because you love me? Oh, so sweet. So this is Genevieve. We don't know how old she is. She's a rescue. She's a rehome. And my friend called us and she's like, I found a dog, she needs a new home, and I thought of you guys. And I was like, no, I don't want a puppy, because I didn't. I do, like, my dog passed away almost 2 years ago, and I did want another dog, but I didn't want a puppy. Like, I wanted a larger dog. I actually wanted a blue-nosed pit. And in came Genevieve, who has made me and Babe like super, super, super happy. She's so cute. She's so cute. She's so cute and she's so bad. Okay, love you. Bye. Bye, baby. Go play with your brother. She looks just like Bentley, guys. Anyways, sorry to have gone on that little tangent. I'm actually going to be taking my braids down in this video. So, yeah. So today we're going to talk about sexual repression. We're going to talk about it, how it affected me. I can't speak for the entire like Latinx, Afro-Latinx community, you know, Afro-Latinx LGBT community, but I can speak for myself, and hopefully in sharing my experience, it'll encourage more people to have these types of discussions. The way that I grew up in a Latinx household. So both of my parents are Guatemalan, both of them are black, and I think just like black people in the diaspora neglect LGBT acknowledgement. Like, we just don't exist, you know, within the black community as a whole. Like in Black American society, in Afro-Caribbean society, in Afro-Latinx society, homosexuality is something that's just like pretty much tucked under the rug. That's kind of like something that I wanted to touch on. So I knew I was gay from the time I want to say 11 years old. Maybe I didn't know that gay was what you called it, like gay is the word, but I knew that I was different. And so when I got to high school, that was the moment that I really knew that I was gay, because I went to performing arts school, and I actually had touched on this in a previous video. If you guys want to know more about my coming out, there is a coming out story here. So I went to performing arts school, and there were a lot of queer kids in that setting, and that was actually the first time that I had ever like come into contact with queer, you know, children of color. So I just like felt like, I don't know, in that moment in time, I felt like I could be the most authentic version of myself, or at least explore whatever that meant. And for years I really struggled with the guilt of being gay. Like, you know, I grew up in a Catholic household, so, you know, basically my whole family's Catholic. You know, they're like staunch Christians. Yeah, like homosexuality is a no. And not because I've heard like my family speak negatively of LGBT people or queer people, but just simply because in their religion, you know, in Christianity as a whole, homosexuality is condemned. So I just didn't feel like that was a conversation that could be had. So I struggled with it for a really, really long time. It led to a lot of struggles in my life. Repression is never good. it's actually really sad. And I guess one of the things that made me, so I already wanted to discuss this, and I actually have made a huge list of topics that I want to share and discuss with you guys, but I was actually watching Moonlight last night, and that was actually my first time seeing Moonlight, and I didn't see it in theaters, and I actually didn't really know what it was about. And I do keep up with independent films. It's just that at the time that it came out, I was living in New York, and for some reason it didn't really spark my interest. Like, I knew what it was about, but it was like gay stories, like that is my life. Every seemingly to me, or in my experience with other LGBT people, particularly other Black LGBT people, the experience is pretty much the same, and it's very much the Moonlight experience, if you will. So when I watched it, I was like, bruh, why? Like, this is everybody's life, you know what I'm saying? But it reminded me of my own experiences with repression, and luckily for me, I was able to live a more authentic life sooner in life, like at a younger age. So I didn't struggle with that into my adulthood. And I hope that, you know, having these conversations more openly, having these conversations more freely can spare more people of color that experience. Like, it sucks. Like, I can't imagine like being 30 or in my mid-20s and like being too afraid to live my truth. And I know what happens. It sucks that that the closet is still a place where people feel like they have to live, you know? So I hope that you guys can explore self. And I've actually taken the last like 8 months of my life to really explore who I am, really explore like who I was and who I want to be. Really exploring, like, just re-identifying what makes me me, making goals, just like spending more time with myself. Like that's actually something that I wasn't able to do. And I lived in New York, so right now I live in Las Vegas, and prior to that I was living in New York, and prior to that I was living in San Antonio. So I went from like living a very calm lifestyle in San Antonio, living a lifestyle where, you know, it was just easy. You know, I had a great job, I had a career, I was making a shit ton of money. My job wasn't hard. I only worked like 37 hours a week. It was great. Like, things were like super smooth. But I came from a place where there was nothing but struggle. Like, living in New York is not an easy place to live. Like, I went from having one job and being able to pay all of my bills and save, and like getting out of debt and having spectacular credit, to moving back to New York with the anticipation of like being able to jumpstart my career, because I already had one. Like, I was leaving Texas with a career and moving back to New York expecting to, you know, be able to work within my field again, and that just completely didn't happen. Like, New York is just not a place where that's possible. And actually, my time in New York is what helped me develop my idea for this series, you know, this channel. You know, living in New York or moving back to New York made me have to confront a lot of demons, one of which was accountability. You know, I think within the last few months of spending a lot of time with myself, one of the things that I want to be is more accountable for myself. I think it's very easy to scapegoat, and it's very easy to blame other people for your inadequacies. It's easy to blame other people for your shortcomings. It's easy to look at your life and be like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a singer and my parents didn't take me to singing classes, and that's why I'm a failed singer. It's like, well, at this point you're an adult, and there has to be accountability for your life. And this year, I've really spent a lot of time taking accountability for myself, taking accountability for my life, and making decisions and steering my life in the direction that I want it to go. And I really hope that with this series, I can inspire you guys to do the same. Now, don't get it twisted, it hasn't been easy. I'm not at my destination. I'm merely steering, you know, my ship in that direction. But it's a start, and a start is better than no start, or a start is better than complaining. So I hope that when you guys, you know, whenever you guys are here, I hope that you feel inspired to live in your truth and to be your most authentic self. So thanks for checking me out, and I'll see you on the next one.